And welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website C Plus Comedy. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Episode 241. This is the episode with Mo Welch. That's what it's called. This is Mo Welch. Well, this is Chad. And if you're listening to the audio version of this show, in a couple of minutes, you'll hear me talk about Mo Welch, who's a wonderful comedian slash storyteller, if anything. And we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago talking about her latest, not stand-up show. What is it called? One-person show. Mole. It was a short run thing that only ran in New York for 2 days, and it was a part of the Cherry Lane Theater's A Summer of Comedy, and it was presented by actor and trans icon Elliot Page. Don't know why I read that part. Mole was part of Mo's animated illustrations. It was like illustrations with live stand-up comedy, and it was great to explore. Now I didn't see the show, but I've seen her stand up and I've seen Mo's illustrations. Love them both. I don't know why they wouldn't work together. Talked about her attachment issues and just her formerly attached mole. Mo's great. You've seen her on if you watched Conan on TBS, then you have definitely seen her stand up. If you watched it as religiously as I did, first of all, then you've definitely seen her do stand up. She is a fantastic comedian, and there's one joke, I'm not kidding, and I told this to her during the interview, that I had been thinking about for years, so much so that I thought I wrote it myself, but I've been thinking about it for years, and then it was reminded to me that she said it when I was rewatching some clips from Conan. It's a very funny joke. It involves those stickers on the back of cars where like it's the family and the stick figures, and they're all, it's like the mom and the dad, or whoever's in your family, and a bunch of kids or pets or whatever. Anyway, that was a joke I've been thinking about for years. I'm not joking. I'm like, I think about that joke all the time, constantly, so much. And I thought it was me. I thought it was when we wrote that, but I did not. So anyway, check out this interview with Mo Welch, and then we will come back with this episode of the Constitutionals Podcast. You can find Mo Welch online at various places, such as Twitter, Instagram. That's it. Follow her on Instagram at Momo Welch, M-O-M-O Welch. Where you can see her illustrations as well as some stand-up. And then find her on Twitter at same thing, Momo Welch. Very funny person. I enjoy her work. And her hair has changed, is all I can say. Any Hoosers. Check this interview out, and we will be back in a second. Here we go. And we're back. Welcome back to the show. You do the right thing when you edit. I could just cut a spot here, and boom, that's where all that goes. That'd be the title of this episode if it wasn't for Mo Welch. But we got an interview, so that's good. And then I have another interview with somebody next week. I've started, at one point, I stopped saying yes to this is going to sound so mean. And the rule still stands. If someone sends me somebody who I've never heard of and does not have a body of work, then I like a substantial, but that doesn't mean like they have to be successful. I'm talking about a body of work that I can review and go, okay, I want to talk to this person. Then there's no point in me talking to this person, because sometimes I'll get offers for people who have like 50 followers. I'm like, I have more followers than you. We can't have a conversation. It'll just be two regular people talking. But then when I get somebody like the person I have next week, or Mo or Alyssa, people who I can either see do their work or who I know, then it's fine. It's good. I can go, all right, great. This person's great. When I get bigger names, when I get huge names, not saying that those names are big, but I'm going to say when I get bigger names, when I get your Jimmy Pardos, when I get your Maria Bamfords, your Ron Funcheses, that's when I go, yeah, immediately. There is one person I'd have already told the story. I already told this version of the story where this story where I reached out and to this person on their website, and they're huge, like they're big, not like Bill Burr. I don't know why I can think of Bill Burr, but they're big and they're on television, and they've been doing stand up for a long time. And I reached out to this person. They responded to me personally. That'll be great. Let me reach out to my people. And then the people said no immediately. I've also been trying to get Nicole Byer for the longest amount of time, but that's not gonna happen. I can't believe there was one point I was this close to Tiffany Haddish right before she went belly up, like big. It was right after Girls Trip, right before she exploded for that second time. It was right after Girls Trip. I'm so pissed. I could have had Tiffany. You could have seen me on the front page of Variety. There was an interview. There's a profile piece that Variety did for Billy Eichner for his movie Bros, which is going to be a queer love story produced by Judd Apatow and Nicholas Stoller. Now, I do like all three of those gentlemen. And par for the course with Nick Stoller and Judd Apatow movies, no people of color in that film. With the exception, I'm talking about people on the poster. Like if they had a poster and it was like 7 names, if one of those names is not a person of color, then that's how I know I can't see that movie. I want to support it, but let's get some darkies in there. I'm serious. That ties in with our first story. This comes from David Folkenfilk. That was from NPR. People of color at New York Times get lower ratings and job reviews, union says. So this story is from a couple of weeks ago, but it still is prominent, in my mind at least. The New York Times, for all intents and purposes, for the past, I think maybe couple of months, has been putting out stories about the Washington Post, how they have job cuts, or someone else in their what's it called, in their aura, in their medium. And it only makes sense that they get the same treatment back. And Folkenfilk is right. 1,000, there's data, comprehensive data for 1,000 New York Times employees that were conducted by members of the union. That represents its newsroom found that Black and Latino staffers are far less likely to get there than their white peers to receive strong job ratings. So what they're saying is that when it comes to job reviews, when you're in the middle of a job, you get a performance review, and the white staffers often got higher scores. Here comes a quote from the News Guild chapter, representing employees of the New York Times. Being Hispanic reduced the odds by receiving a high score of about 60, and being Black cut the chances of high scores by nearly 50%. 60% and 50%, excuse me. That's for a publication that tries to tout its diversity and culture. And the same thing can go for NPR as well, because we know that they've had their own issues with race. For a lot of these, it's like the not the pot calling the kettle black, but the kettle calling the pot, calling the kettle calling the pot black. It's none of these publications, from Wall Street Journal to New York Times. I'm going to keep going. NPR, the ones that I read: NPR, Atlantic, New Yorker, New York Magazine, Vox. Those are the main ones I read. Oh, and that's it. Those are the main ones I read. But those are the ones that talk about this stuff and report on this stuff. They all do the same thing. Like, I don't think what I'm saying is there's never really a change, and that doesn't feel like there's going to be a change at any point soon. Especially if you hear tennis in the background, I am watching Andy Murray come back. I do not have it on currently. Actually, I need to just hit the microphone. I also need to add, doesn't really matter anyway. I was going to turn the timer on. So maybe I could turn the whatchamacallit, the game on here. I mean, I got to pay attention to the show. Anyway, you just watch me work that in real time. It's just kind of unfair, especially when the ones who were told to report on these stories, or their handful of, not on these stories, on stories that center around race and stuff, or the handful of brown people that they have, taking them off of beats that they typically cater to. So the analysis was started about 2 years ago, and nothing huge has changed in the past 2 years. They need to build a diverse staff. They need to hire people who are diverse. It's if they, so it's all starts from the bottom. So if they want the diverse staff, but they need to hire people who are diverse, they're not interviewing people who are diverse. I know this because I have applied to multiple times the Wall Street, I mean not Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and the Wirecutter, and it just and I mean I think I have the skills to do it, but if the people, let's look at Washington Post. They recently hired Taylor Lorenz off of New York Times. If you're going to keep hiring the same people who look like her, no offense to her, she's a great writer, and I'm in love with her. But if you're going to keep hiring people that look like her, then it's just you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot when it comes to diversity. And even if she, she does fit one sect of diversity, she like a young white woman, she is still a white person who is always going to have those opportunities above the young black woman or the young trans Asian person. So there needs to be an active role in hiring somebody who, yes, who can work for the company, who can put out the amazing work, which I'm sure there are a metric crap ton of people who can do that. You're just looking at the same 12 types of people: the brunettes, the blondes, the guys with glasses, the guys without glasses, the white guys with beards, the guys without beards. One former New York Times reporter who is Asian American told NPR she wept after getting mediocre job ratings, even though she had received positive verbal assessments. This all comes with this is like applied bias. This is I stopped watching this season of Big Brother because I don't like showmances. I truly don't on any competition show. You're there to win a prize, just like in college. Someone asked me. I went to a bachelor trip weekend last week, and someone asked me, "Oh, do you like sports?" And I only named the professional sport: NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL. I only watch professional sports. Because when you're in college, you're there to go to college. You're like, it's like 1% of them goes to the league, to their professional leagues. Anyway, you're there for college and you're there to learn. And if my children decide to go, God forbid, if I have children, Jesus, if a woman will kiss me. But you're there for college. College first, sports second. And what was I getting at? But anyway, I just said, they're there for college. Anyway, the point is, because I forgot the point I was trying to make. The point is, they just hire diverse outside of who you're comfortable with. Anyway, I was talking about Big Brother. So Big Brother, they knocked out a competitor I really liked, a person I really liked, and because they did a split down the house, and one group was outside, one group was inside the entire weekend. They knocked out. There's a guy outside that I really, really liked, and because of showmance, got ahead of him. And not him. He wasn't a part of showmance. It was a different. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So this guy was knocked out. I said I'm gonna stop watching, and then I woke up on Friday this morning, the morning that I'm recording this. So this morning, the Friday morning, and they talked about, I saw an article about how the person that was knocked out this week, who was part of the showmance, went to the remaining white competitors and said, we need to form our own alliance. I'm paraphrasing this, but he said the cookout last season, was all the black competitors got together so they could take control of the house for the first time in Big Brother history, because usually all of the brown people would get knocked out of the show. So the black competitors decided to get together and say, we're not taking this anymore. And so this young man goes, who grew up in Mormon, Utah, and now he's not a Mormon anymore, but when I say he's a TikTok influencer, he dances, he does all that stuff, and he's like, if you say, I'm looking for a bland white person, this is the guy you're looking for. His name is Kyle, and he said, he went all the white competitors and said, we have to make our own team. We have to come together and make our own team because we can't stand for this. And I don't think I think it's passive racism. It's not active racism. It's passive racism. It's like you can be passive aggressive or actively aggressive. This is passive racism. I don't think he's inherently racist because he grew up in Podunk, Utah, with a bunch of people that look like him, a bunch of blonde-haired, blue-eyed people, and he saw the first white woman on his show who happened to grow up in the opposite of Utah, well, which is the same. It was the Utah of the South, Florida. And he happened to start liking her, even though there's a plethora of other women on that show he could have talked to. But anyway, and so I think it's just like who you grow up with, who you choose to be friends with. Now, I mean, at this point, he's an adult, and he should know he can be friends with and talk to other people who don't look like him. But that goes for the same. That's the same thing here. Is that no? Even if you live in New York, even if you're living in Washington, when you have these biases as a white person, they can be sitting in the back of your head. And like it's like here, I live here in Midtown Atlanta, and I live in a neighborhood that is I would call the Brooklyn of Atlanta, and it's just a bunch of white people from the suburbs. It used to be a black neighborhood, but a bunch of white people from the suburbs came down, and I don't want to say it's gentrification because the neighborhood did need it. There's parts of the city that did need it, and there's parts of the city that frankly don't. But they added stuff to it, and now people from mostly white suburban areas of Georgia, when they graduate from high school, they go, or they graduate from college, they go, all right, I'm going to move to the city. And they're surprised when I'm walking through the parking garage or I'm running down the street. There's a black person. It's not like that. But anyway, New York Times, get your stuff together. This is a clean show. Get your stuff together. Diversity efforts need to, as much as they start at the bottom, they also come from the top as well. So you need to have higher people in positions, higher people. You have dark people in position, brown people in positions. Where if I can't read this is going to sound, look, people on LinkedIn always messaging out of the blue. Oh my God, I hate it so much. I'm a TV producer asking me, hey, do you want to be a doctor's assistant? No, I can't. I'm a recruiter. Anyway, hire brown people who can do these jobs. Because they can do their jobs just as well as these white staffers. According to the most recent figures, I'll finish on this, posted publicly by the paper last year, people of color made up 33% of the company and 23% of its leadership positions in 2020. Both were up 2% from the previous year. The paper set the goal to double the share of African American Hispanic colleagues by 2025. However, the company said that attrition, there was a workforce attrition, Black/African, and Latino/Hispanic colleagues. Maybe, I don't know. If people are African, maybe just call them African. If people are Latino, call them Latino. There's different nationalities in there. Just saying. Colleagues left at elevated rates. Yeah, because they weren't being treated well. That's the thing. Anyway, it's all bullcrap. Let's move on. This comes from a Hollywood Reporter written by Scott Roxborough. Netflix owns the festival season, but still won't release its movies in theaters. Netflix, for the past couple of years, since I would say Okja, there has been especially when it comes to the Cannes Film Festival and the Oscars, there have been rules set that movies need to go to theaters if you want them to be considered for those prestigious places, those prestigious awards and prestigious festivals and everything. They need to go to theaters for, I think, like a couple of weeks. And every single year, Netflix, ever since Okja, they've had to comply. And every single year, they've put their movies in theaters for, at least in America, for at least 2 weeks. So the movie Roma, for instance, was in theaters for a couple of weeks. And I think I've definitely seen a couple of Netflix movies that were meant for Netflix in theaters. Not a lot, but just a couple. Not The Irishman. I wish I'd seen that in theaters because I think I watched that. Oh, I was in the old apartment. I was in the old apartment. I remember watching that on a Sunday, and I said I'm going to watch this movie. And I remember at one point I had to start making dinner, and I got up. None of this means anything. So there's 4 movies that are in competition at the Venice Film Festival that started this week. White Noise, which is a movie from Noah Baumbach, who, hey, coincidentally, makes movies that are basically white noise, that star white people, and it's just a bunch of noise. The company also has the Blonde movie, the NC-17 Blonde with Ana de Armas, who recently said she doesn't know why the movie's NC-17. Like, there's a lot of other things in other movies that should require those movies to be rated NC-17. I mean, unless there's like a nude scene where she's getting railed by JFK, I don't see why this movie should be rated NC-17. I want to put this inside you. That's pretty good. All right, cool. Oh boy, it's hot in here, isn't it? Also, my air was out for 2.5 weeks. Yeah, it's frustrating. Roman Garvis's French drama Athena and Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu's Mexican epic Bardo. They're all gonna be in this festival. I just recently learned about Bardo and I'm so excited. It's gonna be 3 hours. Spanish, a Mexican language film, a Spanish language film. I said Spanish the first time. But none of these theaters are expected to be doing the same the regular release of like Top Gun Maverick, which is the only movie for the past 3 years to be put in theaters and to be stretched past that the date where it should be on streaming. Like, that movie is not going to hit DVD, like just hit digital, and it's still in theaters. That movie is not going to hit Blu-ray and DVD until November 1st, and I'm pissed. I need to buy this movie. I'm not buying it digitally. I need to buy it physically. I'm buying things physical again now. For a couple of years I put that off, but the PlayStation Sony, they took away the PlayStation Video Store. I think I talked about this last time. I don't know. And people who, I mean, obviously you shouldn't, if your store doesn't hook up to like Movies Anywhere, if the movie store doesn't hook up to Movies Anywhere, then you should not buy your movies in one place and have like on the AMC on demand, the AMC theaters, you can buy movies from there. I don't know why you would. I would never do that. But Sony closed down the PlayStation Video Store, and now people lost access to all their movies. So that, I've been saying this for years. Apple, Amazon, Google, they could all go, we don't want to do movies or TV anymore. We're done. And they could shut it down and you could never have access to things. So things I love, I'm buying physically. That doesn't go for video games, sadly, unless it's like it's like the Xbox 360, PS3 era. Because PS4 and Xbox One, everything is, you have to, basically the disc is a key that allows you to download these games, which sucks, but that's what happens. So we'll figure that out. That's what emulation. That's why people emulate because of this deal. Anyway, let's get back to this. The streaming is a priority over at Netflix, and that is it is a problem when it comes to the film community. Netflix, people criticize it. All the awards that came from Roma, which won the awards from Venice, the Venice Film Festival. It won BAFTAs, Golden Globes, DGAs, Directors Guild, and Independent Spirit Awards, and 3 Oscars. It could have had a really good opening at the theaters if it had a weight behind it, but Netflix is saying streaming is the only thing we can do. We're going to do 2-week releases and that's it. But now I think as Netflix readies its ad supported offering, it's, what is it, PVOD? Is that what it's called? Anyway, I don't know. I forgot the term. Is ad offering, it's going to be $7 or $8, and they're upping it. It was going to come out next year, but now I think they upped it to this year, sometime around Thanksgiving, so that they could, or prior to Thanksgiving, so that they could beat Disney to the punch. Is what I read. I don't know if that's the thing. So it's we gotta anyway. The ad offering. I wonder if that's a change for them because they said they'll never do ads. So it makes me think that they could go to theater, like just put your movie on theaters. Put your movie on theaters. You'll make the same amount. I know they don't want to split the money with, the likes of AMC or even your local art house theater, but still, I would love to see something good like The Irishman in theaters. I pay to go see things. I saw Dragon Ball Super last week or 2 weeks ago. It was fantastic. Oh my God, children were talking the entire time, but it was fantastic to see that movie in theaters. The Italian Culture Ministry asked for a 90-day mandatory theatrical window for all movie releases, and there's France is doing the same thing. Who does the Cannes Film Festival? There's one person who's the head of theatrical distribution at a studio. Gabrielle DeAndrea says instead of blaming Netflix, it's the art house theaters and distributors that need to take a page out of the promotional playbook and learn to turn specialty releases into events. Yeah, that also does make sense. So if Netflix plays ball and decides to say, hey, we're gonna put Roma 2, Vine, I don't know. There's multiple Cherry, Roma 2, Vine and Jerry, and sometimes Tomatoes guys inside of theaters. Then in the artisan film section, then we're gonna say, hey, the first. This also works hand in hand with Netflix as well. AMC and Netflix or whomever. These art house theaters and Netflix work together and go, we'll give you a month free of Netflix or something. Actually, I think they got rid of trials. But, give them swag. Make them event pieces. I've been to premieres. I've been to showings of movies. And they, if it's an A24 film, I remember I got tickets to, what is that movie that Jonah Hill made? Jonah Hill. That he directed that I cannot for the life of me remember. I can't remember this movie for anything. It came out mid-90s. I went to a premiere of that, and they gave us a giant zine and a skateboard, a toy skateboard, like a tech deck, and something else. So I would definitely love to see them turn it into event pieces. That's, it's... Some of these movies can be, I don't care if they're at home. Again, I will go see it in theaters if it's good enough. If not like, Rotten Tomatoes. It's got a 72 on the tomato meter, certified fresh. None of that stuff. I'm saying if it's something I'm interested in, like Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, superhero, then yeah, I'm going to go see it regardless. And then if I like it, like for In the Heights, I saw In the Heights the day it came out on HBO Max. I saw it and I went, this is fantastic. And then the next day I had a date and I told this person we're going to go see In the Heights. And she was like, did you see it? And I was like, yeah, I saw it. And then I watched it multiple times. I think I saw it one more time in theaters and then I saw it on streaming again. That was just like La La Land. Oh my God. I saw La La Land way too much. I saw La La Land four times in theaters, which is too much for one person. 3 or 4 times in theaters, and then it came out on Blu-ray like almost immediately after that. I have to do my time card. I just realized that. We had being at HBO is great. I love it. It's my favorite job, and I hope I continue working there. This next one comes from Hollywood Reporter, speaking of streaming movie services, written by Alex Weprin. Streaming's battle of the bundles era begins. There's too many S's. This is something I've been saying for a long time now. This is something that I think literally every person in the world could see. Every person that said, I'm going to stop paying for cable. I'm going to pay for streaming. Oh, there's a lot of streaming out. Uh-oh. Too much streaming out. What do I do? Subscription streaming services have, especially the plethora of them, have marked not the end of cable, but the slimming down of cable. And then we got to a point where YouTube TV and Hulu with Live TV and Fubo and Sling and the likes of those have become a little bit. I'm not going to say YouTube TV is obviously dominant, but I'm not going to say that those are the the best way to watch television. But they've become obviously popular in their own right. Now we're at a point where Paramount has everything it needs, and Warner has everything it needs, and Disney has everything it needs to become these streaming powerhouses. Disney's been doing a bundle for a couple of years now with ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, and Hulu. Then we have Discovery buying buying Warner and planning to shift everything from HBO Max onto the Discovery Plus platform, which is insane because I just used the HBO Max platform earlier today, and I think it's a fantastic one, and I don't want to have to go on Discovery Plus because if you ever used it, I've only used it once. Like truly, I think I got like a free trial for a couple of weeks, and then I think I opened it maybe 2 times. And it was so confusing to find a show. First of all, I only knew Food Network shows and HGTV shows. I didn't know anything else. Second, it was hard to find anything unless you were specifically searching for a Restaurant Impossible. They do like 40 episodes a year. Isn't that insane? I record that show on YouTube TV, and it is crazy the amount of episodes in one season. And I know they do everything in 2 days, but Jesus, it is, oh my God. Gordon Ramsay wishes he could do that for, Kitchen Nightmares or whatever shows he's doing. So now, this week, in fact, Showtime stuff has been added to Paramount Plus, and not in a way that they've done it before, where a couple of months ago it was, hey, you can watch the first 3 episodes of The Man Who Fell to Earth. Now you can watch all of Dexter. You can watch movies that were only on Showtime. You can watch, I don't know, Spartacus. I don't know what's on Showtime. You can watch Desus and Mero. But you can watch all that stuff that was on Showtime, the app proper, now is on Paramount Plus. And at some point, I think we're going to see everything from Hulu move on to Disney Plus, which sucks. I think that's going to happen. I think they need to keep those two separated. I wish they would dissolve ESPN Plus and put it into Hulu, and then just charge $15 a month for Hulu. But they charge $15 a month for Hulu now. So. And then now we're gonna have Walmart Plus members are gonna be able to get a complimentary subscription to Paramount Plus. Walmart is basically doing the same thing as Amazon Prime, which Prime offers Prime Video alongside its monthly no-cost shipping, or 2-day shipping, or whatever it's called. Vudu I don't know if Walmart really includes Vudu in anything, but because there's no way, because Vudu is just like the Apple Movies, Apple TV. That's what it's called. It's only a matter of time until Apple TV jumps up in price. They can't keep that for $5. I would love them to, because I'll stay subscribed, because I'll subscribe to anything. I'll subscribe to anything. There's one streaming service I don't have. Can you guess which one? It starts with a D and ends in Discovery. My coworkers get it all for free. It's not fair. Give me that full-time job. I'm not a contractor job. The bundles are coming for us. The bundles are coming, and we can't stop it. And then eventually we're going to move back into a territory where it's, if you want to get everything, then you gotta pay for just like 3 things, and it's still going to cost you $300. That would be a bad deal, wouldn't it? I mean, even Apple's in the bundle game too. They point out they have Apple One, which is that thing where you can get Apple Music and Apple Fitness and Apple TV and Apple Arcade and iCloud, all in one package, and something else, and all in one package for up to $30 per month. bundles are back. And we will see different mixes of it all. Remember, there was there's a bunch of student bundles. We got Spotify and Hulu, and I think that might be over. Actually, I don't even know. There's more student bundles with Spotify and Showtime. Oh, it's still going on, I think. Okay, cool. It's just bad, man. It's just bad, and I'm part of the problem. Hey, continuing on the streaming service thing, isn't it sad how SNL, I think, got rid of Melissa Villaseñor, Alex Moffat, and Aristotle Atari? Those are some very funny people. And even if Aristotle only had one breakout character, he was still a very funny character. Alex is fantastic. Melissa's great. I wish they had learned how to utilize her. I think that's what everybody has. If you're a fan of SNL, I think that's what every person would say. They would look at Melissa and go, they don't know how to use her. And yeah, it could be two different things. It could be maybe she didn't try hard enough, and maybe they didn't try hard enough. I also learned that she's the second Latina to be on the show. Noelle Wells. She was Latina. Looked it up. It's true. Blew my mind. It blew my mind. I had no idea. And Alex was just fantastic. I did read a comment, I think, on the as soon as this article went up, I went to the Live from New York subreddit, and I saw which I hate going to Reddit in the first place, but I had to type in, I had to go and find what people were saying. And someone's comment was, no, I think this is on Never Enough. I don't know. Who cares? I think it was on this Reddit. And someone said, now Mikey Day is going to do all the white guy in suit parts. This is true. Okay, this comes from Variety, written by Jim Aswad. Jim is spelled J-E-M. Not my favorite spelling. Music publishers, streaming services avoid another battle royale by setting royalty rates for the next 4 years. As you may know, Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Deezer, all of these streaming platforms set rates for artists to get paid. Oh, excuse me. For publishers to get paid and for artists to get paid nothing. And this is an issue that has been up in the air for I think every time they renew this, it sometimes stalls. But finally, the rates have been settled ahead of time. For years 2023 to 2027, they're 15.35%. Apparently, it's a surprise. And the what's NMPA? Nashville Music Publishers Association, the Nashville Songwriters Association International, and the Digital Media Association. Those are the people that are doing the negotiations. The NMPA, the Publishers Association, has been saying for months that it would push for 20% rate for the forthcoming period. However, sources tell Variety that concessions were made on both sides, likely in the form of modifications that reach beyond the headline rate, such as the way that, quote, bundles work, such as discounted streaming subscription rates for family and student plans. We were just talking about that. And per subscriber minimums are treated. Publishers won a big victory in July when the Copyright Royalty Board upheld its 2018 decision to raise the rate to 15.1% from the previous 11.4%. All this means is that the publishers are going to get paid a little bit more and your artists are going to get paid a little bit more. Not by much. You still need to support them by going to shows or buying music or buying whatever shirt they're shilling on their websites. I saw a... God, I can't... I don't remember where I saw this. But here I found another chart. A chart for how much each streaming platform pays. Tidal pays the most because it has a tier where you can pay artists that you listen to. Apple's next. I think this is wrong. I think this is per stream. I think this is wrong, but Tidal definitely is up there. I believe YouTube pays a lot more than what people think. But there are calculators out there to help you with this. The artists need to get paid, and it, they have to, these publishers go to battle, and I mean the publishers are getting the most money out of all this, and it just, I don't like it, and it stinks. But that's what happens when you have to deal with this crap. Wow, I've been going for a long time. Hey, let's continue. Variety. Brian Steinberg. Broadcasters boost afternoon news and bid to thwart streaming rivals. Now that I read most of this stuff, this might have been meant for news time. Let's talk about it. Broadcasters have been, and more importantly, not more importantly, more on ahead of time, it's been ABC who's introduced a 1 p.m. hour that is akin to their to their morning show, Today Show, or excuse me, I'm sorry, Good Morning America. They're trying to capture that morning show style, but in the afternoon. I don't know when people are supposed to, like, the only people I can see turning on broadcast news in the middle of the day are like older people who are waiting for soap operas to come on. Each weekday at 1 p.m. on ABC, Amy Robach, TJ Holmes, and Dr. Jennifer Ashton host the hour of afternoon news called GMA 3, What You Need to Know. 3 is their third hour. They've been doing this, I think GMA has been doing this for about a year and a half now or something like that. They've been doing it for a minute. And it has since transformed into something else. Like this, in a recent episode, they opened the hour with how monkeypox is affecting children, as well as the flooding that's happening down here in the Southwest. And then they talk to famous people too. It's the same thing, but I think a little bit more condensed. And I think they have more room to do feature pieces, kind of like how CBS mornings, their 8 o'clock hour is more feature pieces. In September, NBC's looking to expand their own field. They moved Days of Our Lives to Peacock, which I don't think, like, that's such a, like, old people. I think if they need to think about, look, I'm sure the ratings for soap opera shows aren't exactly the highest things in the world. However, I do believe that there's an older generation that doesn't know how streaming works, that just turns on the TV and says, I can't wait to see my stories. And when they see Days of Our Lives is going to Peacock, they're going to go, what the hell is this? What is Peacock? Now, they've introduced NBC News Daily, or they're going to introduce NBC News Daily. I don't know what this show is. The premise, depending on the hour of the day, Kate Snow and Aaron Gilchrist or Morgan Radford and Vicky DeGuyen will update viewers on breaking national and international stories. But there's not that much. I think if people really want to see that type of news, they're going to go to MSNBC or CNN or Fox News or CNBC to see some midday stuff. I don't know, because whenever I go to, like, let's say I go to a public, like a store, or there's a Kroger up here that on the belt line, this man-made walkway pathway that has TVs outside and a bar outside, and the TVs, all they do is play sports or news all the time. And I can only imagine, like, or at a mechanic, they have a TV on, it's on ABC. They're only going to see this stuff. I don't know. Afternoon TV viewers are just, that is such a broad yet limited distinction. And you can watch stuff anytime. I don't know. It works, I guess. Now, continuing off of that, we're going to bounce back between these two stories. I don't know. Jennifer Moss over at Variety writes that NBC considers abandoning its 10 p.m. primetime hour for local programming. Again, the broadcasters are trying to step away and focus on something that is more streaming conscious. And if I don't know if NBCU, I don't know if their 10 p.m. slot is not doing well compared to years past. It probably is not, but compared to the competitors now, then I don't know how is this going to affect them in the long run. So this current TV season, 2022 to 2023, it will not be affected. But should they go through with it, then the next TV season, 2023 to 2024, will be. There are a few 10 p.m. shows that they have. So what this means is NBC, they will only primetime broadcasting, typically on broadcast, means that on network TV, means that, or primetime TV slot on network TV, means that from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m., those are the 3 hours that networks get to put their biggest, most special shows on. So, NBC's Blacklist, The Voice, So You Think You Can Dance, all that stuff. Why did I name? Oh, and CBS. CBS is the network too. There's Survivor, and what's on Fox? I don't know. Shazam. Is that Beat Shazam? That's what it's called. What's going on in this world? But that's the time that they have in order to put their get the best advertisers and put their best shows on. And if NBC gives that time slot back, then a local news network, like let's say Atlanta, New York, whatever, Boston, they could air another hour of news. Do we need that? No, not really. No, okay, no, period. So that means by the time you get to late night, you have from 10 o'clock until 11:45. That's an hour, 45 minutes of news. 2 hours. No, an hour. Hour 45. 10 to 11. That's an hour. 45 minutes. Yeah. Ooh, I gotta do it. Right. The 10 p.m. shows that would basically be affected are Quantum Leap, the reboot, New Amsterdam, Chicago PD, and Law and Order Organized Crime. And this would not affect the late night shows that are Jimmy Fallon, Tonight Show, and Late Night with Seth Meyers. That start at 11:35 and 12:35 p.m. Or excuse me, 11:35 p.m. and 12:35 a.m. However, there's a chance NBC could consider shifting start times for those talkers if the 10 p.m. hour is handed over to affiliates, perhaps a half hour or an hour earlier. There's also a chance the NBC stations could opt to schedule an hour and a half of news, keeping those late night chat shows in their same place. I don't think this makes sense. I think if you're really hurting for, the 10 p.m. hour is utilized, for the for one of the broadcast shows or whatnot. But I do think that you can put your best foot forward. We've seen in the past couple of years just a shifting dialogue when it comes to how shows are put out, on cable. I remember Always Sunny, South Park. I remember when those shows, it became a huge deal when they could say the S word. And then now I just watched Little Lucy. What is it called on FX? Lucy sitcom. Okay, that just brought up I Love Lucy, Lucy FX. Jesus, it's not even coming up. Hold on. Lucy is on FX. Lucy FX Jones. Little Demon. Jesus Christ. If I type in Lucy, it needs to pop up. But I just watched Little Demon, and, even though that show is on FX and then comes on Hulu, it was fully, not bleeped all the curse words in the world. And on CNN, you can say these words too. So I think broadcast needs to really adopt those rules. I know there's FCC standards and everything. I work in this industry. Not worked. I do currently knock on wood. I work in this industry. I used to have a job where I had to deal with all the FCC stuff. However, I do think that there needs to be a loosening of the rules. Maybe NBC, Fox, CBS, and ABC can go to the FCC and say, hey, maybe we just need a little bit more leeway when it comes to some things. Yeah. I'm watching The Challenge All-Stars on Paramount Plus, but it is a CBS show. But on Paramount Plus, it is uncensored, and they say everything. It's so crazy to hear a curse word on a reality show like that. But this goes back to the mid-afternoon news. Is there enough for this news to succeed in what it needs to do? You're just, or are you just reiterating the stories from the morning prior? On a weekend like this, Labor Day weekend, when there's no news, what's your story going to be about today? And yes, not everybody watches the morning news, but we have local news at noon that comes on, and then to follow that up with another thing of news. I mean, if anything, people are going to go and watch some other news on cable, or they'll read about it. People don't read. So apply that same principle to the 10 p.m. hour. Do you have enough shows to fill that hour? Yes. Is this just you not wanting to spend on shows? Yes. Just make good TV shows. You don't have to worry about it. Okay. I'm done. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where there are interviews with comedians like Welch, where there's some other videos. I promise I will get to news time. I promise you. Want to watch the video version of this show, news time as well, which is like the Daily Show except way less funny. Go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy. You can see me sitting in one of my new shirts. It's too tight in the arms because my arms are gigantic. Oh, speaking of which, I for this wedding, for this bachelor party I told you about, I went to, we got the suits. I got the suit. I bought my suit, and I was so concerned that it was going to be the wrong size. So I live above. This is too much information. I went to a dry cleaner to get my measurements, and then I ordered the suit. And the suit came. The jacket is fine. I got a jacket. I got a jacket and pants, obviously. The jacket's fine, and it fits my upper body great. Even though I have like a pronounced chest and big shoulders and big arms and stuff. No big deal. I work out. Even though I'm very, muscular and toned. Same thing for my legs. My legs are very muscular and toned. The pants, they're the biggest size. They had two choices. They had modern, they had slim. Slim is obviously going to slim down. Modern is what I thought going to be a little bit bigger. Was not. I put on these pants. They when I say it looks, I look like I'm wearing leggings. That's how tight they are. Like it's everything is like just popping out. And I promise you, if I wear those pants for more than 1 hour, they will split. So now I have to figure out to buy the same color pants somewhere else, and I don't know where. And that was the modern, and that was my waist size. Or maybe I'll just give them a call and see. Do you guys have any more pants? The thing is, I went on the website last night to see if I can send an exchange. They are out of all of their pants. They're out of everything up until 42. And I don't know what to do, so I'll have to give them a call. So that's my story. The suit looks great on me, though. I said to a couple of my exes, I'm like, you're missing out. All right, got to end this show. Twitter, Instagram, @CPlusComedy. Me on Twitter, Instagram, @ChadBlackWhite. Like us on Facebook. Rate, review, subscribe. Tell your friends about this. And hey, if you want to send, if you look, if you listen to this show and you manage a comedian and they have a good following, just send them my way, baby. Send me an interview or let me get an interview. Thank you for listening. I'm going to pull up the outro music and we're going to tune in and we're going to do this. Goodbye.